Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to cover my LCK Spring 2023 All Pro Teams 1, 2, and 3. Um, we did this in the Discord as well, utilizing player of the game to determine who um, was Team 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, player of the game standings aren't the best way to do it, but I did it anyways. So if you'd like to look at that on the Discord, it's a pinned message in the general chat. I also will post under extra content what the all pro teams would look like stats wise. A lot of people, and even myself, um, I wouldn't say are worried. I was maybe worried that I was utilizing stats too much, so I looked at what the stats say, and the stats do not match my teams. So, that's a good thing. That means that I'm not leaning into stats too much. I utilize stats. I like stats, and analytical look is important in my opinion. But I also have some opinion in this one. I'm not a big fan of the way the LCK ended up turning out their all pro teams, going completely T1 all in the first team. I think is a little sus. I think there's an argument to be made in every role, probably except AD carry, that the player could be the first team player. But the fact that it was all five, I think is kind of sus. So we're gonna start with the third team first. In top lane, I have Doran. Now I was debating between a couple players here. Maybe I should do it by role. I'll do it by role because then I can actually discuss why they are where they are. And give some insight on who might not be on the list and why I didn't put them on the list. Second team is Zeus. And first team is Keen. Now, Keen, I thought, he showcased it today right against Sandbox, but he has been good from start to finish, in my opinion. The best top laner in the world right now is Keen. Performance-wise, I won't say that he is the best overall. I think Zeus and Bin and 369 are still up there. But Keen has returned to form after last year looking pretty damn crappy. And frankly, has been a carry threat for KT in the top lane like no other top laner really has this year. Zeus has still been great, don't get me wrong. But even stats wise, and then not only that, just watching the games, I think Keen has had more impact than Zeus has this split. And then I picked Doran third team, and a lot of people probably criticize the third team, and I think that's just weird. It's team three. I think you can make a case for Kana in here. But looking at the numbers and just how I felt about it, I thought that Doran was the better of the two. I thought he was a little more involved, and farm-wise didn't give up too much. And I thought that, Doran has always been in that area in the LCK of third to fifth or whatever. Obviously, thinking about other players in top lane, I think that after Kana it gets kind of messy. I wouldn't put Kingen up there. I wouldn't put Birdall up there. I wouldn't put Din Din up there or Doodoo. I'm missing people. Rascal, obviously not. So between Doran and Kana, it was close, but I'm going to go with Doran. Third team jungler, I have Peanut, which is going to get criticized, I imagine. But like I said, it's the third team. I don't really give a shit. I don't know why other people do. Second is Canyon. And first is Owner. And I won't lie. I don't think... I keep bumping this mic, so I apologize. I really don't think anybody looked exceptional consistently in the jungle. Except the only actual consistent thing we saw was Sus play out of Clid, Sus play out of Krako, which lost him his job. But the young junglers and Willer and Young Jay, I thought that they played well. At times, Willer better than Young Jay, but I thought that given the circumstances and the roster that Young Jay was on, he did solid. Sylvie had some moments, and we'll get into all rookie team eventually. Maybe I'll do it after mid lane to break this up. and put it down below here. But I thought that there's quite a. I mean, I have four rookie junglers listed on a board in front of me right now. So outside of that, it was between Owner, Canyon, Peanut, Umpty's not being considered, Clid's not being considered, Cuz maybe, but Cuz definitely had some sus moments that I think kind of takes him out of the running. And I'm not going to put Willer in here. I mean, I know Peanut doesn't quite rub people the right way necessarily, but I really don't think Willer is a more complete jungler than Peanut. Thinking about it, we've got KDF listed there, Sandbox, Nongshim, DRX, that's 4 teams, Umpty is 5, Cuz is 6, probably missing somebody, but nevertheless, this is how I've got it. In the end, it really doesn't matter. These 3 were the best. Owner's first blood percentage was really high. Definitely the most facilitated oriented player in T1. Faker gets a lot of that, praise, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I thought Owner did a lot of work relative to his role. And then not only that, you have Canyon, who's obviously always a carry threat, who at times probably left a little bit on the table, but even doing so, he's still an elite jungler. So that's the deal. That's the deal there. Mid lane, third team, I have Chovy. I think this is the most contested role. Mid lane is the most contested. Chovy is third team. Faker is second team, and this is where people get their undies in a bunch and get all frazzled and make a comment or get upset, and I'm like giggling to myself. Zeka is first team. So why is Zeka first team over Faker? Why is he first team over Chovy? Carry wise, I feel like Zeka was the best carry mid laner this split. And a lot of people look at his champion pool, and I acknowledge his champion pool is something that actually I would put him below Chovy in the top 5 mid laners in the world, because his champion pool is not very large. I don't think Zeka offers a lot in terms of different ways to play the game. That does not take away from the fact that he did get to play the champions he's good at quite a bit this split, which allowed him to look exceptional. Compared to Faker, he had stats-wise 1.1 CS more per minute, and the KP was not that massively different given the fact that Faker did not lead in KP. So when I look at that, I say, okay, people say, oh, well, Faker really did a lot of work. He really facilitated. That didn't work. That didn't result in kills relative to his role. And put him at the top. So, with that in mind, I can't put him as the first. If you're not going to facilitate the most, how can I compare you to somebody that carried the hardest, in my opinion, in mid lane? I thought that Chovy did a little bit of both. Damage-wise was very good. Faker was very good in damage as well. But Zeka, then again, led in solo kills for quite a bit of the split. Now, why do I think this is the most contested role? I think you could have threw BDD up here. I think you could... There's an argument to put Closer in third place, I believe. The Discord, in terms of player of the game, Closer got more player of the game votes than any other mid laner for Sandbox's wins. Like, Closer was very important in their wins, but Closer left a lot to be desired in their losses. So that's why I don't have him in my top 3. I think that he frankly, he sucked quite a bit. But even Zeka, because, inconsistency is a thing. Earlier today on my roundup, we looked back at how they fared against D+ last time they're on the Rift. Well, against D+, they lost. But Zeka went 2-2-3 with 30% of damage. Now, somebody could say, well, that's him being a KDA player. Yeah, but he also dealt 30% of damage in mid lane. 30% of damage is a lot of damage for a mid laner. Look at the stats. And, so with that in mind, you have to take that sort of stuff into account. Like, in some of these losses that we hand him, Zeka still was very, very good. Now, there are ones where he was awful, don't get me wrong. But over the grand scheme of things, I think Zeka had more on his plate than any other mid laner this split in terms of having to get things done with his jungler being an absolute doofus, top laner being exceptionally average, support inting their face off, and I'm going to give Viper a lot of credit. So, first, we're going to go all rookie team, like I said. Okay, all rookie team. Top lane, Din Din is the only rookie top laner, so Din Din gets it by default. Good for him. Congrats, Din Din. Give him a round of applause. So he is the top laner, rookie-wise, because he's the only one. In the jungle, we have to pick between Juhan, Young Jay, Willer, and Sylvie. I shed some light on this. I think Willer was the best one. I thought Young Jay and Sylvie, to varying degrees, did some nice things, but also were exposed, but we're not on great teams. You know, Nongshim in a much worse spot than KDF. Statistically, KDF are pretty strong given the record, but Nongshim, not in a good spot. So, with that in mind, Willer is the jungler, but I think Sylvie got a little screwed in his first split. Mid lane, I think this is pretty easy. Bulldog. I think Bulldog deserves a lot more credit than he gets. Just like Pays, he's 17 years old, and opposite of Pays, he's on a terrible team and somehow has to make it work. I am recording, right? And the audio's working? Good. So, like, for long periods of time for KDF, especially in the first half of the split, Bulldog was leading in damage, had the best KDA, and it was like, but the team keeps losing. How does he persevere? How does he continue? And he did so far. And I think Summer, KDF is a team to watch. They're a dark horse to get into the top 6. I think that Bulldog is exceptional. And honestly, I believe if he was on a team that was like 8-8 or 9-9 instead of 5-13, I believe there would be a conversation to be had that he could deserve some rookie of the split recognition. Pays, rookie of the split in 80 carry, and my rookie of the split in general. Pays benefited from being on a great team, being with a very, very good jungler in Peanut and Chovy in mid lane, and they played around him, gave him opportunities to succeed, and he ran with it. Not to say that Pays didn't deserve it. I said going into the year that I thought Pays deserved this opportunity. And he's excelled with it. He's run away with it. Frankly, spoiler, I still am going to include him in the list again. I thought he's done a great job. He's taken the bull by the horns. With that in mind, I think that if Pays was in a worse spot, say they swapped situations, and he was with KDF, maybe he doesn't end up breaking the record in kills. I think that team definitely plays a role in it. And I feel like, just to be transparent, that has to be acknowledged. But I'm not going to take anything away from him. He did do well with the opportunity. It's not like he's winning it when Bulldog went 9-9 and carried his team. Support is Moham. There's no other support. Keep in mind, because this may be inaccurate, so I will acknowledge this. When it comes to Rookie of the Split, I did it based on if the player played more than half of the games in a split in a major region for a team, they're not on the list. So that includes players like Taeyun, June, Birdall, players like that have been substitutes and not played as much as you would think. And you're like, okay, well, are they a rookie? Are they not? The way I just did it arbitrarily, and I believe it's close to what the rule is, if they didn't play half of a split for a team, aka the majority of the games as a starter, I still consider them a rookie. So these are the rookie, that's the rookie team. Now for All Pro Team, I have Viper third. I thought Viper was kind of held back by life, and by kind of, I mean a lot. And part of me really wanted to make him second team or even first team. I think that there's an argument to be made here. Excuse me, Pays is second. And then Deft is first, which is actually incredible. I cannot lie about that. I am pretty surprised that Deft, at his age, is doing as well as he is. I really am. That doesn't mean that they didn't play around him. Early on in the split, Canyon went to bot lane like mad, and that benefited Deft and Kellen. Now, with that in mind, Deft, like I said about Pays, given an opportunity, ran with it, deserves recognition for that. I think Deft is the first team All-Pro. Pays, I don't think, it's kind of funny because Guma ends up getting it, right? Pays sets the record. Guma gets it. I don't even have Guma on here, which is why I kind of think the list is a bit sus. And I'm somebody that thought I think Guma's very good. I think he's very talented, top 10 in the world. I would put Guma above Pays and Deft in an 80 carry rankings if I did it right now, overall. But for this split, for these 18 series, this is how I see it. And frankly, I think Viper could make a case to be first, and maybe Pays falls down to 3. Only because I think Viper really had to carry life and carry HLE. And the thing is, like, you can't really look at stats with HLE, which is kind of weird. I mean, I think about it with Zeka, but I'm not thinking about it with Viper as much, just because HLE, to get back on track, played a really slow, boring style that did not allow them to get a lot of stats, right? And, I kind of feel like Viper needed to do more, frankly. I think Viper needed to do more. I thought Zeka was playing at his best, and I don't think Viper was, which is, I guess, the way I'm looking at it. I'm sure people are going to disagree, but, I mean, it is what it is. Third for support, I thought this was a tight race. Do I want to... I'm going to pull a... I'm going to go Cal. I just pulled an audible from my list. I'm going Cal. And then we have Kellen. And then I have Carria. And the reason why I'm going to go Cal over Delight is, one, I don't have a Sandbox player up here. And I think Sandbox deserves some recognition. Actually, I would argue that Ryu should be coach of the split. So let's just add Ryu to this list when we're at it. Ryu. So we'll talk about it now. So Kale, great with Prince. We saw him great with Prince, right? But Prince is gone. How's it going to do with Envy? They were great. Sure, there were times that they left a little bit out there, but Kale is one of the youngest supports in LOL Esports. Envy is a rookie on my list in front of me, along with Vital, by the way. So Pays over Envy, Vital, Bulldog over Fiesta. But, Kale did great. People are going to probably pick out mistakes that he made, but they also probably aren't thinking about the fact that he is one of the most inexperienced supports in LOL Esports, and he's doing pretty damn good. And I know that's not supposed to factor into this, but the way I look at it, I thought Delight looked good. I thought Lehens looked good. Now Lehens not it. Lehens is probably definitely fifth this split. But I think that there could be an argument that somebody could put him in there, and I wouldn't argue it. I would argue it, but I wouldn't say it's outlandish. But you got players like Life that looked... Kellen, alongside Deft, I'm actually surprised how well Kellen did. Because in my opinion, I thought that Kellen was holding back Duck Dom a bit, but now Duck Dom's out. Duck Dom's with DRX, with Barrel. DRX is an absolute dumpster fire, and Kellen's looking very good. So Kellen proving me wrong on that front and looking solid. Then there's Carria. Obviously, Carria is cracked. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think Carria is the best player in the world right now in any role because he can play any role. Look at his champion pool and tell me he can't play champions that are valid in every role. You can't, because look at his champion pool. He does it. And shout out to Shohei Ohtani, but it's a similar thing. I think Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player to ever live because he is literally doing something that nobody has ever done at a high level. And Carrier is doing it at a high level. He could play any role at a high level. I think he is absolutely insane. With that in mind, I'm struggling. It's between Keane and Carrier for MVP for me. Keane, because do you see any other KT players on this list? No. And some people probably can make a case for BDD. Like I said, mid lane, I think you can make a case for BDD. I think you can make a case for Showmaker. I think you can make a case for Closer, for Bulldog. Like, mid lane is pretty close. The splits at 15 minutes, which I consider kind of important stat-wise, it was like 6 CS diff was the best. Like, that is the closest I think it's ever been. So with that in mind, I think you can make a case that any mid laner could be in these top 3. And some people are going to say it, and I'm sure they're going to skip to the end and make their comment known that they don't think my list makes any sense or this or that, but they actually didn't listen to why the list is the way it is. So I just think that they are full of shit, and then I like their comment and I kind of smirk because it's like, I know that you didn't listen and yet think that your opinion matters. So circling back to Keane and Carrier. Keane, it's tough, man. Like, in the sense of, so you have two arguments, right? Most valuable player. Some people would say it should be the best player. Some people believe it has to be the best player that is in the playoffs. You know, did their team get to the playoffs? Well, that is the first hurdle for MVP. I don't like that. I honestly, personally don't like it. I look at the NHL, National Hockey League, Connor McDavid, Edmonton Oilers. They do not go to the playoffs every year, but Connor McDavid is the best hockey player since Gretzky, right? Like, an exceptional player. So he should be winning MVP every year because he's actually leading in all the stats, but his team isn't getting to the playoffs. So in that case, I would say Carrier is MVP, right? He is the best player, in my opinion, in the world. And his team also went 17-1. But then you look at the LCK All Pro Team, and it's all T1 players. And you look at this, and you say to yourself, 4 of the 5 T1 players are on my list. So, is Carrier more valuable to T1 than KT and Keane, you know, as Keane as KT? That's the issue I run into. Because really, it's tough. I think you go either way. And I think a lot of people are gonna say it's very simple, but I don't see it that way. It just depends how you look at what MVP means. And I think there's different ways of looking at it. And I think Keane, okay, going with it. I'm gonna go with it. Keane is gonna be my MVP, which I'm probably gonna be in the minority with that opinion. But I mean, I think that if you look at most valuable player to their team, I think that Keane is the most valuable player. Like, I mean, I'm not making a case for any other KT players to be on this the first team. I think, like I said, you can make a case for BDD being second or third team. I think you can make a case for aiming to be maybe third team. Lahen's maybe third team. But, like, T1, you're seeing everybody say these are first teamers. You see Zeus, Owner, Faker. And, I mean, that's just, I guess that's the way I'm looking at it and the way I kind of am thinking about it. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord so you can see what the stats indicate as the All Pro teams are. So when people say, oh, you're only looking at stats, well, the stats do not match this board. And thank you for watching.